Hello, hello. Re- Reduce it. Hello, hello. The echo is very high. Reduce it. Hello, hello. Hello, hello. The echo is very high. Hello, hello, hello. Hello, hello. I think the audio would be fine now. Everyone, the audio is fine. Let me just check it. Hello, hello, hello. Hello, hello. I think the audio would be fine. So audio is fine now. So welcome to 17th January 2025 news analysis, and that is Daily Decodes. Welcome to everyone to the session. Moving towards the important news for the day. But before I move forward, the important batch announcement, that is the batch 2 of OGB. Vinay sir, who is the founder and director of Insights IAS. This course would be offline and online guidance program 2026, which will include the complete GS, CSAT, NSA. So complete syllabus would be covered in OGP 2026 batch. For all details, you can also scan this QR code and you will get to know everything about the course. Second important thing is that if you're preparing for prelims 2025 and you're looking for test series, you can join this test series intensive prelims booster, which includes 30 GS and 16 CSAT test series. The course is valid till prelims 2025, and for all details again you can scan the QR code and this number 8069405205. Anything which you want to know, the prelims course, the mains course, the interview course, or something selective you want to study, you can call on this number and you will get to know which course is coming and which course is ongoing and how to take enrollment. All these courses have been designed under the guidance of Vinay sir, and definitely they would be helping you for your upcoming examinations. Now, the thought for the day is success is the sum of small efforts repeated day in, day out. So we always, put a, goal in front of us, and if we do, for example, your exam is after 1 year, 6 months, or 2 years, 1.5 years, 3 months, 2 months. The problem is that we once put the goal, then we, rather than studying on daily basis, sometimes what happens that we study for 2 days continuously, and then the amount of concentration reduces, or amount of our josh or amount of our confidence also comes down, and we find the subject boring. But we need to realize a person who studies, for example, 4, 6, 8 hours diligently on daily basis, this daily basis is the one which will eventually fetch you the result of your examination, and you will get it. So every day putting your effort for it, going through your MCQs, PYQs, going through your answer writing and completing your syllabus, whichever stage you are, that will eventually help you complete the syllabus. For example, it might not be possible for you to read 10 chapters in a day, but if you do it in 3 days, three chapters, and eventually you will finish 9, and the 10th also you can finish on the 4th day. Once you start completing those chapters, start going through that syllabus again and again, then one day you will have the capability that you can finish 10 chapters in one day, because you've already done the detailing of those three chapters earlier. You've gone through multiple times, so this will eventually improve. But for this to happen, it is very important that we put daily efforts. It is the daily efforts which will take you to the success, and that is why we do daily decodes. Daily decode of the newspaper would be helping you fetching the important result. Okay, now moving further towards the important news for today. ISRO docks 2 satellites, puts India in elite league. If you remember, We had covered this news in December also. That time ISRO was planning to put these satellites. The launch had happened on 30th of January. The launch had happened, and we were talking that this, these two satellites, they need to come together, and this docking should happen. And finally, the successful docking has happened, and India has joined the elite league of 3 nations. India has become the 4th nation to do it. First is US. I mean to say, not exactly in the order. I'm telling you, the 3 important countries are US, Russia, and China, who has already achieved this feat, and now India also joined this coveted countries in putting and docking the satellites. So I told you earlier also, docking is said this is A satellite, this is B satellite, and fixing of this satellite in space. It seems to be very easy, sir. What's the big deal about it? It is because, in outer space there are multiple things which are acting and you are controlling them on Earth. You are not two manual people who are doing this. Okay, so it's a very important feat. Singapore to help India's semiconductor industry. If you see, the Prime Minister had visited Singapore last year also, and the President of Singapore is in India. We are celebrating 60 years of diplomatic relationship with India and Singapore. So we'll talk about this very important announcement, and semiconductor is very important. As India grows in the artificial intelligence, Singapore is very, very important. Next important news is Indonesian President to be the chief guest on the Republic Day. There's a lot of debate, I got through this news that this is the 76th Republic Day or 77th Republic Day. But as per the news reports which I've gone through, it is the 76th Republic Day. And the Indonesian president would be coming to India for the Republic Day, and he's coming with a huge military contingent which would be participating in the Republic Day. In the editorial, we'll talk about an alliance of democracies with India at its core. So this is a editorial which is related to India and European Union, how we should move forward, and it's a wonderful editorial written by a very senior person. We'll talk about it once we reach there. And UPSC prelims, we'll talk about medium range surface to air missile system. So recently there's a deal which has happened between DRDO, more than 2,000 crores. We'll talk about that, the surface to air missile system. So moving towards the first important news, that ISRO docks 2 satellite, puts India in the elite range. So January 7th was the space agency had initially scheduled the docking for this day, but postponed it to Jan 9th. Jan 8th ISRO observed, and eventually I think this would be much more clear here. And January 8th, the ISRO observed more than desired drift between the 2 satellites. 12 satellites were moved within 3 meters of each other in a trial attempt. 16th inter-satellite distance was reduced to 3 meters from 15 meters, and both satellites were docked. So if you see this image, I think it should be clear more out here. So if you see this image, this is docking. This is your SDX. This is your SDX 01, and this is your 02. And this is the ones there. For example, if there's a hole and there's a system which needs to fit in, this is in a very basic language. This is what you call docking of the systems. Okay, so ISRO has achieved this, and we have become the 4th country to do so after US, Russia, and China. And this also tells how India, if we compare our defense, or for that matter even our space budget with US, Russia, and China, we have very less budget compared to these countries. But even in these minimal budget, we are able to come in the category of these 3 countries. It's a huge success of ISRO, and it tells about the scientific endeavor and the efforts which are being put by ISRO. So mission was named as SpadeX. If you remember, this is also a very important prelims question. SpadeX, so space docking exercise, that is space docking experiment, space docking experiment. So the full form can also come. SpadeX is space docking experiment, was a significant step in advancing India's space capabilities and proving it to the world. And this, as I've told you earlier also, that space is a $1 billion, $1 trillion industry. And as you see that from Amazon to, Jeff Bezos is putting his money into that. And then you have Elon Musk, also SpaceX. They're putting huge amount of money in this industry because they know this is the future. And India putting efforts into this will only take us to places. Okay. Now the 2 satellites, one was called Chaser, another was called Target. So this is the Target, this is the Chaser. Chaser fits in, and that is how the docking was done. It was launched on PSLV C60 on December 30th. We had covered December 30th news analysis. That time we had covered this news. The docking was performed under the supervision of ISRO's Mission Operation Complex at the ISRO's Telemetry Tracking and Command Network. So process involved three important steps. First was maneuvering 15 meters to 3 meters hold point. So the 15 meters gap to 3 meters hold point was done. Second was initiating docking. Now docking is a very specific process. It's a very scientific and technological process which requires years of practice. Okay. So this, once it was done, so initiated docking with precision spacecraft capture, that they should come in the right alignment. If the alignment is not right, then the entire experiment will go kaboom. It will not happen, and millions of rupees would be, the amount of effort will also go in vain, and the amount of money which has gone, that will also not fetch the result. Completing retraction and rigidization for stability also was done. So these were the three important steps which were done. Now after the docking, ISRO gained control of the two satellites when they are joined. Now they have become a single satellite and single system, which is the ISRO has complete control over them. The next steps include, now since they are docked, undocking would be the next step, and power transfer checks. The undocking and power transfer happens. Demonstration of electric power transfer between the docked satellites. Separation of satellites to commence their individual payload operation with mission life of up to 2 years. So this also showcase the advanced space capabilities of India and how India in space is advancing. This is one of the achievement which we are doing. We have done multiple, from Chandrayaan to, multiple Chandrayaan missions. The capability of Indian space is increasing. We also had done mission Shakti in 2019. That is anti-satellite mission. So from defense point of view, from space point of view, we are increasing and paving the way forward. So it demonstrates critical technology for space maneuvers essential for future space mission. Now, what this mission shows? First of all, this mission will give us the confidence, and it will give us the strength, and will also give us the know-how to do building and operating Indian space station. As you know, international space station would be coming down. So now India and many other countries are thinking about having their own space station in international space. Now it is easier said than done, but these kind of steps which are taken by India would definitely be able to do. Now sending an Indian astronaut to moon, that would also happen soon in the future, because of the technical knowledge we are gaining from these experiments. Because once you know how to dock the system, docking is a very important part of creating your space station. Once you create your space station and outside, for example, if this is Earth and this is your space station and you want to go to a place for there, so this also becomes a place where you can put your system, refine it, redefine it, or if you want to do changing, so it becomes a kind of stopover also for you. So enables in space robotics, composite spacecraft control, and payload operation post undocking. So this will enable, obviously, a lot of technical terms, more from the point of view of ISRO. So this all has also become the capability for all of us. Okay. Power transfer demonstration crucial for future application, and efficient operations would be required for the docked spacecraft. Now coming to a MCQ question. SpaceX made India the 4th country to achieve satellite docking. Correct statement. The mission includes demonstrating electric power transfer between docked spacecraft. Correct statement. SpaceX technology is essential for future space station operation. Correct statement. All the three statements are correct. All the statements are correct. D is the correct answer to this question. Okay, now moving to the next question, that is Singapore to help India's semiconductor industry. So he is the Singapore president. His name is Tharman Shan Mugartanam. Okay. So, and a logo was also, I have told you, India and Singapore are celebrating 60 years of diplomatic relationship. And if you see, a logo was also launched. This is the India-Singapore 60 years of diplomatic relationship. You can see President Murmu, and you can also see the President Tharman Shan Mugartanam. Tharman Shan Mugartanam is the president of Singapore, and the relationship between India and Singapore is only getting strengthened. India is putting a lot of effort to get the semiconductor know-how technology from Singapore to India. The relationship between Singapore and India are already good, and semiconductors are very important for India, because if we want to move ahead and command this technology, specifically artificial intelligence, semiconductors would be becoming very important, and that is why India is putting a lot of efforts in this area. So 60 years of diplomatic relations. So President Tharman Shan Mugartanam of Singapore emphasize the natural partnership between Singapore and India. Even historically, if we talk about, India was among the first countries to recognize Singapore independence in 1965. And I would recommend you, please, all of you, go and study about how Singapore has developed, how there is very low corruption in Singapore, and even being small country, how this entire country developed in a very small span of time. I don't think so 40-50 years is a big span of time if you talk about countries, and how Singapore in Asia, in Southeast Asia, Asia represents a example of a developed country, and how they had focused on niche technologies and top technologies which will fetch the country higher GDP, higher money, higher forex. So it's a very good example. Multiple videos on how Singapore growth has happened are available on YouTube. You can go and watch them also. It will give you a good insight. Okay. So India was among the first countries to recognize Singapore's independence in 1965. Singapore has been the largest investor in India for many years. Obviously, now many other countries have come. Semiconductor manufacturing would be the focus for us. Singapore aims to assist the building in semiconductor ecosystem in India. The initiative aligns with India's push to strengthen advanced manufacturing and technology solution, because Singapore is already ahead in semiconductors. The other countries which are focusing, China is also focusing a lot on semiconductors. Americans are focusing. Any country which is focusing on semiconductors and AI, they know the future wars and future technology and future money making economy would be based on top class technology. And that is why India is also putting a lot of effort, a lot of strengthening of relationship between India and Singapore, specifically based on semiconductor from India point of view. If you talk from Singapore point of view, they are interested in putting a lot of their money and resources in state like Odisha, specifically for industries like petrochemicals. Okay, so they are focusing on a lot of industries like petrochemicals. So Odisha and Assam, given their natural resources, and they want to focus on logistic connectivity and petrochemicals. So this is what Singapore wants to focus on, and we are also exploring the creation of data corridor between the gift city in Gujarat and Singapore. So it will facilitate secure and trusted data exchange for financial institution. And as you know that today we are living in the age of cyber warfare, cyber espionage. Data security is very important. That is why effort is also being put so that data for both sides, Singapore and India, are secured. Singapore is a lot interested in putting their money, resources, on the natural resources which are available in Odisha and Assam from the point of view of logistic and petrochemicals. India is more interested in semiconductors. So from a point of view of quid pro quo barter, it becomes very important for the overall growth. Okay. Now, so renewable energies also we are looking to have more strengthening. Both countries collaborating on renewable energy for sustainable energy solution. Upgraded strategic relationship. The partnership was elevated last year to comprehensive strategic partnership during the Prime Minister's visit to Singapore, September 2023. Sorry, this visit happened in 2023, not 2024. The Prime Minister had visited, and in 2023, it was moved to elevated to comprehensive strategic partnership. A joint logo, I have shown you the logo which is commemorating 60 years of international ties, diplomatic ties, which was launched by President of India Draupadi Murmu and President Tharman Shan Mugartanam. 60th anniversary celebrations are going on. So let's move to a mains question on this. Singapore's collaboration with India in the semiconductor and digital technology sectors signifies deeper strategic partnership. Discuss the potential of this collaboration for India's technology and economic growth. 250 words. I've given you a certain set of pointers which you can use to write your answers also. This will help you in your answer writing. Okay. So let me see. Sir, does this mean India's space strategy is to become a space power, superpower exploration? Both, I think, both. It would be both. Not only, nobody would be exploring for free, Bhuvan. There would be obviously a focus on economics also. And superpower, definitely not, advanced power in the terms as space will become business, and it has already become business. So many countries which cannot go to America or Europe for launching their satellites because of the cost, they might come to India. And as we advance, many countries in Asia would be looking forward to India. For example, the next news, when we are talking about this Indonesia news, you'll get to know that, Indonesia is buying BrahMos from us. They are planning to, finalize that deal. Why? Because they can buy it from other countries also, but it would be very expensive. And BrahMos is super class weapons. So as we advance in terms of weapon space, it will open new business avenues for us, and India's weapon systems, India's space, launching a satellite from India would be much more reasonable compared to the Americans. Okay. So Indonesian president to be the chief guest on Republic Day. So Indonesian President Prabowo Subianto will be the chief guest at India's Republic Day Parade 2025, marking the 4th Indonesian president to receive the honor. So he is not the first president to do so. Three Indonesian presidents have already done this, and he would be accompanied by a massive military contingent, which would be more than 352 member military contingent. This is the largest foreign contingent marked alongside the Indian military down Kartavya path on the Republic Day. So this some important facts. 4th Indonesian president to come. Name of the president is Prabowo Subianto, 4th president to come, and he would be coming with the largest military contingent which would be walking with the Indian military till now. The visit would be scheduled for 25th to 26th January, and a lot of deals are also expected. MOUs are expected between India and Singapore. Apart from between India and Indonesia, apart from going for the Republic Day celebrations. So this is the most important deal. See, so now not only he is coming for the Republic Day, he is also coming for this $450 million deal for BrahMos supersonic cruise missile system is nearing conclusion already. So if finalized, Indonesia will become the second export customer. We have already given the BrahMos to Philippines, and more country we are able to sell this weapon. This will increase. First of all, it will bring a lot of money to us. It will bring, obviously, if the weapons start selling, more military complexes are created, more job creations will happen. It will also tell the strengthening, and it will also tell that how India has come out of an age of creating its own weapons. At the same time, we are building, weapons like, yesterday we were talking about INS Surat, Vakshir and INS Nilgiri. We were creating big naval ships, frigates, warships, submarines. So over a period of time, indigenization is happening. We are creating our weapons, and once the prowess comes, many other countries would be buying from this. Singapore and Indonesia and Philippines, one of these examples, and Armenia also being one of those examples. So once they start buying, the news will start traveling all over the world that these weapons are world class, and that will fetch us a good amount of money. That will fetch us good amount of forex reserves. But I mean to say, the foreign exchange will come because most of them will pay in dollars only. So overall, very good for the country's economy. This is the same thing I was talking about ISRO also. That it's ISRO news, and same goes out here also. Okay. So Indonesia also shown interest in procuring India's Dhruv advanced light helicopters and Akash air defense system. So this is also, if they plan to buy Dhruv and Akash also, again, Indian system moving in Southeast Asia, ASEAN countries, and this strengthening our relationship between. So this is also very countering the strategies of China, which tries to belittle these countries and do fear mongering in this area, specifically this area of South China Sea. So enhanced military cooperation. Indonesia's defense ministry officially requests BrahMos deal. Discussions are ongoing for expectation of announcement as soon as possible. India and Indonesian relationship has been described as warm and friendly ties spanning over millennia. Indonesia is a comprehensive strategic partner and a key pillar of India's Act East policy and vision for the Indo-Pacific. So India and Indonesia is very important from the point of view of Strait of Malacca, to counter Chinese threat, to counter Chinese intention. Be it Indonesia, be it Philippines, all these countries have been hammered. All these countries have been hammered economically and also by military, with military point of view. of China, where China has created these artificial islands in South China Sea and claiming the exclusive economic zone and also the natural resources which are available. From this point of view, these countries are dependent on India and they are looking for India to pave the way, and India is definitely doing this. And this kind of statements coming, warm and friendly ties spanning over millennia, comprehensive strategic partner, obviously a very strong and standard relationship between India and Indonesia. So MOUs would area of cooperation which could be signed would work on health, culture, education, maritime security, safety, and traditional medicine. So President Prabowo and President Prabowo and Prime Minister Modi would be completing these MOUs, and soon news will come about it. So what is the significance? I've already covered. Economic, defense, maritime sectors would be strengthening. India's I won't use the word hegemony, but India's interest and India's strengthening of this Indo-Pacific with democratic policies, with the strengthening of free sea lanes of communication. Every country can do their trade, and helping these countries which might be belittled or which might be China using their strength to show them down. India and these countries can stand up against it. So deepening Indo-Asia ties under the Indo-Pacific framework, and when I talk about Indo-Pacific framework, then your Quad also becomes important. And again, 20th January, the Donald Trump would be coming. Everyone is watching what exactly he brings to the table, symbolizing growing mutual trust and collaboration between the two nations and cultural and historical links. This also shows, when Singapore is I beg your pardon, too much of news of Singapore. Indonesia is buying these weapons, and Indonesia has it, Philippines has it, and once they use it, test it, it is only a matter of time that many Southeast Asian or ASEAN countries will buy it. And if ASEAN countries will buy it, the message will circulate in the world. So as in how America is able to sell its weapons, we would also be able to sell our weapons, and our our marketing and our defense weapons will also become a very good business for our economy. Okay. So before I move forward, Concur Prelims 2025 batch is starting on 15th January. You can take enrollment in this batch. For all, you can call on the number which I had shared with you earlier, or you can scan the QR code. Now moving to the prelims impact news. This is your, so today in the Hindu newspaper, there's a tidbit news which is related to Defense Ministry has inked close to 3,000 crore contract with BDL, that is Bharat Dynamics Limited, for medium surface to air, that is called SAM, for the surface to air missiles for Indian Navy. Now surface to air missile Indian Army also has, or Indian Air Force also has, but this news we are typically talking about the Indian Navy. So medium range surface to air missiles designed to be launched from the ground. So for example, if the missiles are on the ground, say these are the missiles, and if a fighter jet is approaching, or say any drone is approaching, these missiles can be fired, and these drones or any incoming aerial target can be destroyed. So they intercept and destroy enemy aircraft, drones and missiles at medium distances. And this system is around of 70 kilometers. The range is around 70 kilometers. And MRSM provide air defense for military installation, strategic locations. For example, say this is a good military installation. Many Army, Navy, or say some naval installations are here. So SAM would be deployed out in different directions, so that if a target, if an aircraft is trying to launch a missile or a drone or a fighter jet is coming to destroy it, these surface to air missiles can be launched to destroy it. Okay, so it is trying to destroy a hostile aircraft at a range of 70 kilometers. This weapon system is also called Abra weapon system. It is a state-of-art medium-range air defense missile weapon system. Okay, some comments have come. Let me just see. India-Singapore relations have traditionally been good due to Act East strategy. Yes. Yes, yes, definitely Act East strategy, and previously also the effort, when it was Look East also, the efforts have been put. India was one of the first countries to recognize Singapore also, and there is a lot which you can learn from the Singapore, and that is why I am suggesting please go and read about this country. It will really help you. A lot of videos are available. So next, coming to the alliance of democracies with India at its core. So this is written by Anders Rasmussen. He served as the NATO Secretary General. So he was NATO Secretary General from 2009 to 2014 and Prime Minister of Denmark also. So he was Prime Minister of Denmark also. So PM of Denmark 2001 to 2009. And Denmark is also a lot in the news because Denmark has basically the rights over the some kind of, though Greenland is independent, but Denmark would be one of the important countries to decide its fate if, since America is planning to buy Greenland, Donald Trump has also said that if military is required, he might use it. That's 100% chance he will not use it. Denmark is part of the, very close to US, and then the NATO alignment will also come in that. So, but anyways, we are not going to this topic towards NATO. What this is, that this person is coming from NATO. This person has been the Prime Minister. Now he is talking about India European Union or India Europe relationship. He is talking about that should be strengthened because both are based on democracies, both are based on democratic democratic thought process, and that is why they are natural allies together. Okay. So Alliance for Democracy. So 2024 was super election year globally. Multiple elections happened in 2024 from India to America, many other countries. So 2025 to be year for democracies to regroup and collaborate. And also I feel that in 2025 most of these wars, Russia, Ukraine, Israel, Hamas, by the first 3-4 months these wars will come to an end. There is no doubt about it. I have told you multiple times in previous lecture, maximum 5 to 6 months, most probably they would be stopped before that only, but maximum you should take 6 months. So European and India relationship have historically been centered on free trade agreement negotiation with limited tangible outcomes. FTA we have been planning for a very long period of time, but we have not been able to do so, but hopefully it will happen in future. The author also talks about if FTA is not happening, alternatively we can do multiple things. So have historically been centered on FTA with limited tangible outcomes from the EU FTA. Okay. I'll take that question, Parikshit. Wait a minute. So this negotiations are still going on for European and India free trade agreement. I think I've covered from 2022, 2023, 2024. Hopefully it will happen. So a robust partnership between the world's largest democracy, that is India, and largest trading bloc, EU, would be an economic and geopolitical game changer, and there is no doubt about it. The ex-NATO Secretary General who has written this article talks about that if you go through the policies of US, if you go through the policies of Europe, if you go through the policies of India, they are aligned in the way of they want democratic setup. But at the same time, he also talks about that India does a lot of trade with Russia and China, which definitely Europeans don't like. But he also tells that Europeans are also doing a lot of trade with China for that matter. So challenges, so a comprehensive trade agreement may not be feasible short term. Alternative strategies. So free trade agreement might take time, but that does not mean that we stop doing track 2 or track 3 kind of relationship, or alternatives should be worked upon. Okay. So focus areas for cooperation: economic security, developing supply chains and reducing dependence on China. So I think I've told you earlier also, there is a concept called China plus 1. China plus 1 basically means that most of these countries, Europe and America, around 60s, 70s and 80s and 90s when China was developing, they were very happy because China was developing, China was manufacturing goods, doing that export and doing that work which Americans and Europeans were not interested. So they had outstood and China was happy to do it. And China, over a period of time, they started, their pockets becoming deep. And as you remember the famous line of Deng Xiaoping that, hide your strength and bite your time. Okay, and eventually by 2010 and 2012-13, when China became strong, they started showing their colors. And Europe, America were actually, they didn't know that China would be doing this to them. And that is why they came with China plus one strategy, that we should not be only dependent for China for manufacturing. We should be looking for other countries where this manufacturing happens. Because today, globally, most important raw material and products are being manufactured by China. So these countries are dependent on China. So if China plus one comes, India can be one of the countries, India, Singapore, Vietnam, but all of these countries, if you see the geographical span, the population dividend, resources, India becomes the most important country. And that is why for Europe and America, when you talk about China plus one, the first top country is India. But the problem with India is that we do not have that kind of skill sets and technology. That can be provided by America and Europe if they want that we should counter China. So that is one thing. So that is why economic security, supply chains, defense collaboration, strengthening India's security through EU investment in advanced weaponry, investment from European Union, advanced weaponry should be given so that we can easily counter China. And obviously India today is building its own weapons also. So indigenization and coming of this technology will help us. Technology and industry, building partnerships in pharmaceutical space and critical emerging technologies. Now, when you talk about critical emerging technologies, we already have ISET. So, ISET is working very beautifully with US and India. So, the ex-Secretary General of NATO has written the article. He says, if it can be done with America, same can be done with the European Union. Now, all of a sudden, you must have seen, not a sudden, I would say, from the last 8-9 months, you must be seeing Spain is coming, Germany is coming, France is coming. They have realized the importance of India. And specifically in the churning times with, churning times and changing times with Trump, taking the reins over Europe and making it difficult for them to breathe. Now they are thinking that India is a very important partner because, if the trade with America gets hampered, we need to look for new markets. With China, they already know, what kind of government they have, and it's very difficult to do the trade with China. Already that EV war is going between European Union and China, or Europe and China. So India becomes naturally a very good viable partner for them. So India's position, India maintains historic ties with Russia, significant trade with China despite its rivalry with Beijing. India resists binary power bloc that we do not believe in democratic and autocratic, remains fundamentally aligned with democratic principles. So Europe says this is very perplexing. When it comes to values, India is best. But India also aligns with Russia. India did not, directly as such support Ukraine or sided with Ukraine, in the Russia-Ukraine war. And India is a very important partner of Russia. We took oil and gas, but for that matter, Europe was also taking oil and gas from Russia. So certain areas, Europe gets perplexed. So Europe perspective, European frustration of India's response to Russia of Ukraine, it thinks that it is of double standards. And again, but if this is of double standards, Europe was also dependent on oil, gas on Russia. Europe is also doing a lot of trade with China. So Europe might be having double standards saying to India, but you might be saying that India is having double standards, but same can be said about Europe. I think this should be set aside. Both sides should sit on the table and find more solutions and answer to these issues. Okay, so this is a huge problem, the no limits partnership. So China and Russia had recently signed this no limits partnership in terms of technology, defense, and this, when they use these words, Putin and Xi Jinping, that this is a no limits friendship, Europe was the most important area which got scared, because the strengthening of Russia-China relationship poses a question towards Europe. So it threatens the global democratic order, which includes India, Europe and United States, and thereby the author says that anything which is happening in this area, anything which is happening in the Atlantic area will also affect Indo-Pacific. If it is affecting Russia-China relationship is affecting Europe, it will affect America. If it is affecting Europe and America, it will affect Europe, America and India also. So obviously there are global repercussions, global ripples of geopolitical instances. Russia-Ukraine war had indirect and direct repercussions on Indian economy. Same goes for Israel and Hamas. Obviously this will happen. So that is what author is trying to bring in this article. So proposed measures for strengthening, remove trade barriers, strengthen India as a trusted partner, and focus on critical raw material and critical technologies which specifically India needs. We need technology. If Europe starts providing that technology in future, FTA also happen, strengthening will definitely happen. So leveraging India-US defense ties quad as a model, accelerating EU-India defense discussions with investment in defense industries, advanced weaponry, and I said space exploration. Now, see, I was just talking about when I was doing that ISRO article about docking, that space exploration, most countries will align. It's a $1 trillion industry. When you start proving it to the world, see, we also have our space capabilities. Many countries and Europe will be interested in putting their money because they know that their money will not get wasted. It is not Pakistan that China has put in CPEC and it's going for, the money is going down the drain. They know that Indians are working hard, and Indians have gone to America, Europe, and they've proven their worth. So we are as a country is, moving in space, we are moving in defense, from hypersonic missile to docking of satellites. So sustainable development, we are moving forward. So Europe can, wherever we are lacking, they can invest, they can put their money, and strengthening of relationship will happen on the both the side. So enhancing EU-India Trade Technology Council, and I said this is what, so we can work on quantum computing, advanced biotech, and many other technologies which Europe has already moved forward. So it can be renewable technology also as we move towards net zero. So addressing China's dominance in emerging, now China is leading in 57 out of 64 key technologies, and if you want to counter China, then you need to have China plus one, and a natural ally for China plus one is in India. Europe and America needs to realize this as soon as possible. If they don't realize, then it would be too late. At least for the next 30-40 years, they need to put money in India so that the growth of the growth and prosperity of America and Europe, the path goes through India. Okay, the path goes through India. So broader perspective, people to people ties, cultural and educational connections, economic incentives should be given to India. India's impending rise as the world's third largest economy, juxtaposed to the slowing down which is happening in Europe. So this Europe needs to realize that the strengthening and going of their economy will happen with India and countries like India. So the sooner they realize it, better it is. So acknowledgement of mutual challenges to democracy, collective power of Europe, India and US against authoritarian regimes like China and Russia. I don't think so India would be saying Russia is an authoritarian regime, even if it is, because India is also very smart. It aligns with Europe, America and Russia and China, because today India talks about India. Today India is all about India. We talk about India's strategic autonomy and we are working on that. So a wonderful question has been there. India's engagement with the European Union holds the potential to shape a robust alliance of democracies. Discuss the geopolitical, economic and technological dimension of this evolving partnership. So I think I've discussed in detail about this. Wonderful points I've given to you, explained to you this entire article, and you can use these points to frame your answer also. Okay. So let me just take some of the comments. Sir, India, Singapore, sir, you will, sir, great Bhavan. Sir, India is emerging as a global defense powerhouse and daily headlines showcasing advanced, correct. Sir, is MRSM better than the Patriot system? No, Patriot is different, this is different. External Affairs Minister has clearly stated India has no intention of joining Western-led alliances. Yes, we will not be joining Western-led alliances. He is not joining, asking India to join NATO. Probably he might want, but alignment in economic and alternatives can also be done. In the, extra mile, you can go for impacts of rupee weakening. And ICANN 2.0 current affairs for answer writing enrichment, that is available on our channel. Please go through it. Thank you very much for today. Guys, please like the channel and, please like the video, and most importantly, share these videos on your groups and WhatsApp statuses so that more and more students get to know, and anyone who has been new, welcome to the family. And we'll continue. Now the daily decodes are happening, say, with light and everything which was missing. So we'll meet up tomorrow 10 AM again. If there is any issue you want me to cover, please let me know about it. Okay. So thank you very much and Jai Hind.